Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Marshall here, and I'm bringing you a 1v1 cast. Finally, an up-to-date cast after all my Vault videos I released recently. I do hope you enjoyed them. There were some good 2v2 games in there. But it's now a new time. I've got some more time to do some recording and casting, so if you guys have some good balanced games, some good tug-of-war games, some clutch games, send the replays to me, particularly interested in high-level ones, because then we can all learn something from it. And in this particular game, I'm going to apologise in advance for the colours, but we've got Nimzo in his customary orange against Dreadnaught, who's playing in sandy brown. And we're playing on Snowball this time. Big old planet. 700 radius here, 125 mechs up for grabs, and it's got a little twiddly little moon over here as well. And with the recent buff to orbital launchers, in that they're now the same cost as a regular T1 factory, you can actually get up into orbital with less of an expense. Although that being said, orbital fabricators are kind of expensive. Astraeus's still probably quite affordable if you just want to get a Faber across or even run a commander away. So here we've got Dreadnaught in the north spawn of Snowball. If we zoom out here, most players tend to spawn on this cluster of 4 mechs here. I personally haven't seen many people go for any of these 3s that are closer to perhaps other strategic locations to lock them down. It's a nice central area to get to a triple expansion here, to move forward to 3 here, and to move not too far to get the 2 on that raised platform that are relatively easy to defend. Looking at the build, we're going vehicle into air, into what looks like air and then vehicle, or it could be the other way around. I wasn't looking as he built it. Going straight into Fireflies and Strikers after 2 Fabricators, maybe bringing out a 3rd one after a few Strikers. It's not very often on such a big map that you only see 2 Fabricators coming out, so there must be a reason for that. And look at this, Nimzo already. We haven't even seen his base yet, but we're already seeing the effect that he's having on this map. Boombots and Fireflies looking for little lone Fabricators. And while that's there, have a look in the bottom right picture-in-picture here. Let's have a look at Nimzo's base while we scan this boombot around, make sure it doesn't... In fact, tell you what, I'll swap those views, so we can watch that boombot and see Nimzo at the same time. That being said, also, Dreadnaught there with an Inferno going for an attempted drop, gets intercepted halfway through. Here we go, Nimzo's base, bot into air, air, bot, air. 3 fabs to start with over there on that expansion towards the 4 around this rock, which is the reason for this sort of 3 expansion here. You've got a nice close set of 4, which is why some players don't necessarily always go for that cluster of 4. It's about which expansions you want to go for first, rather than necessarily the immediate start metal. And Nimzo also a lone fab going in the opposite direction, so you don't have all of your fabbers in a single area that could cause some particular risk going later into the game. So I'm going to try and keep things relatively close so you can see the relative builds there. Keeping track of the fabs, we've got some sparks here just in case we've got some fast units to come and deal with this, some strikers or some boombots. These guys should be able to deal with that quite nicely. What we don't tend to see on maps of this size are Icarus because of the size of the planet and the fact that bombers and other things are probably just going to get there a little bit faster, to be honest. And Icarus being vulnerable and taking that build time, you don't necessarily want to use all that build time on those Icarus. This is a good thing that Nimzo is doing here, putting up a proxy factory around these 4 mechs to guard it and to reinforce it. Let's have a look at what Dreadnaught is doing, just continuing to expand with his double fab train over here with a bunch of strikers defending them just in case anything comes a-knocking. He's supplemented his fabricator force now with an additional 4 vehicle fabs and an air fab coming out as well. Air fabs will probably go for far and wide. Saw something go up over there. That's probably an air fab. Or is that going to go for the other side here? But this is the good thing about maps this size, is if you get one of these air fabs unseen and unnoticed, you can get somewhere else around the map and expand unnoticed and really start to stack up. And it looks like this air fab here is going for this naval factory, which could present quite a powerful move going into the sort of later parts of this game, because control of the water gives you control of a lot of metal actually. It doesn't look like it, but if you have water, then you lock down all of these coastal mechs and potentially project into the backside of someone's base if you get T2 up and running. Nimzo doing the same thing. So that was Nimzo's factory there. Looks like that might also be Nimzo's naval factory, therefore. Unsure, but we'll find out soon enough. Again, that orbital that I mentioned before is getting up. Dreadnaught looks like he might want to go to the moon after all. And Nimzo and Dreadnaught also just constantly scouting in the air, making sure they know where each other's units are, where each other's fabricators are, and these fabs could be in for a little bit of a problem here. Bomber there gets taken out, so that at least leaves the fabs safe, but Dreadnaught sacrifices his entire air force to do so. I feel like that was a worthy use of the air there. Even though he did lose all of his air in that engagement, he kept these fabricators alive in order to build Discolata, in order to lock down this position, which is going to be much more valuable than a few interceptors when, given the amount of metal and the size of the planet, you can easily make that air back up with a couple of extra factories down the line. So here we go, Dreadnaught getting ever closer to that equatorial naval factory and is away towards the moon. With an orbital fab, of course, orbital fabricators can build metal extractors, so you don't need to have ground fabs in order to do that. Just send it over and give it a world build for the metal, and it'll get straight on that. Again, also something to note, and Dreadnaught's doing it here, with the amount of metal on this planet, you might well find yourself floating a little bit. Because there's just so much up for grabs, and if you can't keep up with the production, you may as well build some additional storage while you get your extra factories up and running. Nimzo into T2 Air here, of course. Air being the usual go-to option on such large radius planets. T2 Air is the preferable because, as we've already seen, the power that air plays in its mobility, T2 Air is just going to bolster that going forward. So here we go, more bombing raids, does pick off a fabricator there, 2 still survive, so this base is still going to continue, and it also had a factory there which could easily have just popped out another fabricator. It's still a nice little win to, you know, a nice to have, but I don't feel it'll actually have made any significant impact. Here we go, Dreadnaught here trying to scope out his opponent with a few strikers there, moving slowly because they're paired with this ant. Of course, you can control move, like press control, or rather hold control while you give a move command, and they will all go at their regular speeds. If you ever find all of your units going slowly and you just want to get your units there, just control click and they'll move at their normal speeds, but they won't stay in formation. So here we go, Dread coming in with a nice mixed force. He's got some anti-air protection, I believe. Did I see a spinner? I did. Got some spinner, we got some sparks, we've got some ants, loads of strikers, and a few grenadiers. I feel like... Ooh, that was an even engagement, I feel, and Dreadnaught has managed to come out on top. Possibly with the positioning, possibly with just the greater numbers. I feel like the numbers might have had it. This does now, I was going to say threaten this base, but on the balance of things it really doesn't. You've got 2 completed factories there and reinforcement units, and we've only got a few pew-pews here. They're not really going to do that much damage. Dreadnaught continuing to lock down the middle of the planet here, always a good sign. If you're just projecting power, these pelters, look at the area that that pelter now controls with the radar coverage as well, so no slow-moving tanks are going to get near this, and that's actually a really well-placed pelter. Look at this. Wide point is now a choke point. This pelter covers this entire area. Imagine maybe 2 more pelters, and that area is no-go for Nimzo unless he can get in there with his air. And also now defending these forward factories. Both players managing to spend their income now. No one is floating for a second. Nimzo then pushing in a bit further than he perhaps wants to have done, and continuing to build the air. And now here is where the T2 air really starts to come into its own. Assisted greatly, by the way. Nimzo realizes the potential of the air game here, and he knows from experience that air is the big clincher on big maps like this with relatively spread out metal, to be fair. Gunships and horseflies are the way to go to deal with things, and of course the Phoenix there will be more than capable of bolstering this air force. And here we go. We see the reveal of the T2 air for Dreadnaught, and the bombers and the Kestrels going to be clearing that up really quite nicely. And Dreadnaught now, I would personally recommend wanting to get some more air factories, and indeed, there we go. T2 air started. Loads of fabricators building that. 5, in fact. Commander getting more power because he needs it. Now, while he needs to get more power, I both like and dislike this. It's all in a nice area, so it's nice to understand where it is. But if, let's say, for the sake of argument, some locusts get in there, there's only the commander defending it. Commanders can't kill locusts to save their life. They're way too slow. And locusts could just run through and eat all of this power, sending Dreadnaught back straight into the Stone Age. So be careful when building your power lines that you don't build them out in an open area, because locusts can just run in and completely decimate you and make you think, wait a second, where did all my calories go? And turns out the locusts nicked your Kit Kats, but you know, for some people that's a good thing. I certainly need it after this year. Here we go. Nimzo now has unit numbers and compositions to be able to push Dreadnaught back. These factories all of a sudden look a little bit flimsy. This force here having to reroute around the geography here. Few grenadiers for Nimzo. I feel like Nimzo didn't need to push in there. Nimzo had the greater number of grenadiers. If he had cycled back around this mountain, he could have kited and grenadiered that entire army. As it happens, he's lost his army, and he hasn't even taken out a factory. Yes, he's got a scout of this entire pelter line. Yes, he's killed a few fabricators, but was it worth it? I'm not convinced. That pelter is now up and running. The T2 air. Whoa, that looks nasty. Dreadnought still going into orbital. Let's have a look at the other moons super duper quickly. Dreadnought has all of this to himself, getting T2 bots nice and safely out of anywhere that Nimzo can actually scout. That's an important thing there. If you had built T2 bots on this map, it could be raided, it could be scouted. If it's over there, Nimzo will not know that it's happening until perhaps it's too late. So that gives Dreadnought the element of surprise. It also gives him an escape route with the teleporter there if his commander needs it. Oh, look at these air forces here. Dreadnaught's way too small, does not want to engage this, even over the commander. The commander's AA is good, but it's not that good. T2 air is up. Dreadnaught doesn't want to engage just yet. Oof. A lot of Kestrels there now, though. We're getting to a very high number of Kestrels, almost 20. In fact, yes, we do have 20 now. Imagine if we had some Angels in there as well, possibly some Hornets. That really would be a bugbear for Dreadnaught. It would be able to take out all of these entrenched positions. Nimzo here, though we haven't looked at this side of the map yet, Nimzo has been trying to get through this pelter emplacement that I said was so powerful earlier. And he just gets in range and he just can't do it. The walls there are so good. Just a few walls. You don't need many, just a few on the front line. I see a lot of newer players will build walls for days. You don't need them. Wastes faber time, wastes metal. This is all you need. Because by the time the units have got around the side, they could have gone through the middle anyway. Excuse me. Dreadnaught's air doesn't yet want to engage. Still. I'm going to do now is I'm going to have this one to swap to sit on the other side of the map there, and this one we're going to sit and watch the moon, watch that T2 bot factory, see what it's doing. Slammers coming out. They'll come out of this teleporter here. Nimzo finally breaks through. Not many units on this side. Not enough air to defend and hold it. And a few grenadiers and sparks single filing in. Not the way you want to go. Let's be honest. Doesn't want to engage that force. Wants to kite away. We have got a slammer there. Not convinced it's wise to have revealed it just yet. Meanwhile, though, here is the critical force of Kestrels really coming into effect there, going around and raiding whatever they please, and that is why on such large radius like this, air is so important to win, because once you get the air game, you get this amount of Kestrels or Horseflies, and as long as you have superiority, your opponent won't want to engage you unless forced to do so, and there Dreadnaught has an amazing engagement. All of the Kestrels absolutely plucked, absolutely devastated, absolutely toast. Very, very good engagement there from Dreadnaught. Nimzo realizes, ooh, Dread's got into the air game. That being said, look at the army tab there. Very, very similar. Factory count, very, very similar. Dreadnaught, 52 fabricators. And with the greater metal as well, but Nimzo has the plays here. He has the army in the right place. Dreadnaught doesn't yet have it. He does have the naval advantage. We haven't really looked over there in a long time, but he does have T2 naval. Those kaijus are a latent threat. They'll come into the fore in about 3 minutes' time when Nimzo realizes, oh, does Nimzo even see that? Let's have a look. He doesn't know it's there. Nimzo doesn't know it's there. Ooh, that's not good, Nimzo. Of all of the places that you've flown your air and you forget to have a look for naval, that could be your undoing, sir. Yes, you have some vanguards here which block radar and have a little bit of radar themselves, but my goodness me. It's going to be a little bit of a problem. So they're struggling for metal now. Dreadnaught's metal has been boosted by the fact that he is on this other planet. His commander is over there nice and safe and sound now. He's not getting T2 mechs up yet because he's just putting it all into more factories. Up to 30 now. Nimzo losing a few here, down to 26 now. But he's got a big incursion force over here. We've got more teleporters up from Dreadnaught to come and assist, but there's not enough units to really come through them unless he's going to be using them to move his army around the same planet, which is always viable. The problem with Nimzo now are the kaijus in the back of his base, and I still don't think he's realised, because they're within spitting distance of his commander and he has nothing to deal with them. He'll have to fly his air back with some Kestrels or something to deal with it. But as he moves this force in through this base, it should take out all of these P-gens, which will leave Dreadnaught scrabbling for power elsewhere on the map. And you can see here, he's preempting it. Loads of power coming up for Dreadnaught elsewhere, realizing that his power line is about to be shocked. Here we go, the air flies back frantically to deal with the kaijus. Nimzo realizes, ooh, I left it a little bit too late to deal with you. And all it's going to take is a Leviathan maybe, even a Stingray just sat in here. It'll completely force Nimzo away from everything around here. Dreadnaught though, even with small raiding forces, with a few Grenadiers here, and a few Ants to really stock up the HP, will allow Dreadnaught to push in through on the southeastern side rather. There's the power line gone. The Vanguard devastating. Take out the T2 air and Nimzo might have the air game to his advantage. The orbital launcher is by the by, take it or leave it. It was deactivated on power, it wasn't actually building that radar if you noticed. Dreadnaught didn't care for it. The thing is, Dreadnought can't fly his air over. There's a couple of storms over here. Not that Dreadnought has any air that can really do damage to ground. The problem is, Dreadnaught's commander is not of this world. Nimzo's still is. And Nimzo still has T2 naval to deal with. Nimzo's eco is continuing to get raided. Nimzo needs some kind of faster moving method to deal with Dreadnaught's eco lead here, because it is phenomenal. 540 to 200, and that's simply because of Dreadnaught's air fabs just constantly. Look at all these guys just constantly going around reclaiming mechs, even building metal on the opposite side of Nimzo's own polar base here, because Nimzo is so concentrated on defense and a tunnel visioned offense. And because he's gone so heavy on vehicles and slower moving units, he doesn't have the ground mobility to be able to come over here and deal with all of this. That being said, Nimzo has started getting the Kestrels back, and all it's going to take is a few Kestrels to go around here and actually raid this metal, actually raid it. And looking around, all of this eco from Dreadnought doesn't have any air defense. All that Nimzo needs to do is go around with a few Kestrels and deal with that. But right now, the bigger fish to fry are these kaijus that are desperately retreating back towards the narwhal. That's going to have some Galata defense as well. This is going to be an impenetrable pond for Nimzo at this point. Might even be a GG pond right there. Combined with the eco lead the Dreadnought has, I'm not sure Nimzo can get back into this, because Nimzo currently has no way of getting to the other world. He just has to kill off Dreadnaught's eco. For what it's worth, I feel like Nimzo's been doing okay on the trade front. He just needs to stop Dreadnought from replenishing his forces, but I don't think he can do it. I think he's too far down the slippery slope. The commander has left the base. The power line is open and ready for the taking, but look at this. What's this teleport doing? Where is it going? Nimzo is in orbital. Is he going to try? Is he going to try and invade the other planet with all that he's got? It's possible. It certainly is possible. I can't see a way that Dreadnought wouldn't see it. And he's got a few Avengers to defend just in case as well. Nimzo here with the Hermes, desperately trying to find where Dreadnaught's commander is. He realizes it's not there. He hasn't got anything ready to send out to the other planets either. He could just send it over and have a gander. Through the teleporter they go. It's not onto the moon. Where have they gone? He sent them over here to defend against this little force. And now up into the rest of the mechs that Dreadnought has. As long as Nimzo keeps migrating, he could actually starve Dreadnought faster than Dread can starve Nimzo here. It's in theory. In theory. Because these kaijus are only so good as they've got air support, and the only way that they're going to get air support now, since Dreadnaught's air is gone, is if the replenishing forces from the moon have enough AA, and there's not a lot coming in there. This is Dreadnaught's saving grace right here. Can Dread realise that the kaijus need the anti-air protection? Without it, they're as good as dead. Here we go. The Kestrels have had a damage nerf, I understand, recently. So, they take a little bit longer to kill things, but better than not at all. Here comes Dreadnought, though, with a bit of air. Nimzo, ready with his finger on the trigger. Doesn't want to lose these Kestrels. These Kestrels are his lifeblood right now. This Air Force is his lifeblood. Kaiju's gone. Army and base safe for the short term. Kestrels getting in range of the AA. Kestrels gone. Army now offside, out of place. There's nothing to defend the base. A Vanguard and a few Grenadiers isn't going to cut it against snipperbots. Said it might do. I doubt it though. We've got Vanguards and Shellers. Ooh. Shellers moving onto front lines. Nope, nope, nopedy, and big old nope. Moving the air over the spinners as well. Not great news. Vanguard moving in gets completely swallowed before anything can be fired out of its nozzle. And this army from Nimzo resorting to planet-wide patrol. Are you joking? Nimzo realizes that that's what he has to do in order to stifle Dread's eco that still, despite the raiding, is still on 500. Nimzo, though, despite the fact that Dread's pushed him all the way back, is still floating around the 200 mark. So something must be going right, but he just doesn't have the factories anymore. Down to 13, considering he was at 26 before. He's losing factories faster than Dreadnaught is. Dreadnaught's just over there, hunkered down on that moon, and there's no way Nimzo's getting to it. His army's all split up now, so he can't even use it as an incursion. Snipe force. Commander's running. Don't think there's a way that Nimzo can come back now. All he has to do is just hide his comm. Might give him enough time, but I don't know. Dreadnaught's army value now 516 to 150. I think it's over, lads. Ladies and gents, boys and girls. I think Nimzo probably just about had it, and the area patrol of this army has left it high and dry as it runs into little blobs of units. This is a thing I see a lot of newer players do on stream, is planet-wide patrol all of their stuff, thinking that it'll actually protect them. Actually, no, it doesn't. Because you end up like this, with 1 or 2 units facing down 2 or 3 units, which is more likely to be the case, and you will take less favourable trades. Because the whole adage divide and conquer, when you do that, you're essentially dividing yourself. You're not even being forced to do it by the opponent. You're just dividing yourself. And while I've done that, rabbiting on about the art of war, Nimzo has GG'd, realizing that resistance is futile. The light of the sun. Oh dear. What happened there? There he is. Off in the horizon. Kaboom. Well, folks, I hope you very much enjoyed this cast. I apologise that it's taken me quite so long to get into the modern stuff. I hope you've enjoyed, though. I've been Marshall, and if you have particular suggestions, wants, or desires, do leave them in the chat. Do drop some likes and shares with your friends if you're interested and if you enjoyed. It really does help me out. So thank you for doing that. I hate doing the old YouTuber spiel, but it honestly does help me out. Considering I'm, I don't want to toot my own horn, but, pretty much the biggest, dedicated PA YouTuber at this point. I search myself sometimes, and I don't really come up in the search results, so I'm relying on you guys to help me out there. I'm doing my bit with a bit more content these days, but now I need you guys to share and support and interact, and let me know what you think. Also, head over to my Twitch page, and that also has my new Discord on it as well. Much appreciated, folks. Stick around for more PA on the way very, very soon indeed. Thank you very much, and have a good one.